April 28th, 1789. William Bligh and 18 others are set adrift in the South Pacific. They had been kicked off their own ship by Fletcher Christian and the crew of the HMS Bounty. Fletcher set out for a place to settle. He and his comrades were now fugitives of the British Empire, and he decided on a small, peopless island far to the east of Tahiti. The last time someone had seen Pitcairn Island was 23 years ago, because it was barely a blip on a map. But it was fertile, and in 1790 the Bounty made landfall there. The mutineers burned their vessel and established the settlement now called Adamstown. In a conversation about Pitcairn history, it must be understood that among the mutineers were a group of Tahitians, taken from their home to be used as translators during the Bounty's mission of obtaining breadfruit, a calorie-dense Polynesian staple, and introducing it to the UK's Caribbean colonies. The children of the Tahitians and the English mutineers lived on the island without knowledge of the outside world, and in this unique situation, it gave birth to the development of a Creole, Pitcairn. Eventually, the Pitcairners were rediscovered, but despite contact with the outside world, their settlement and language persisted. Their settlement did so well, in fact, that in 1856 the population swelled to such an extent that much of Adamstown had to relocate to Norfolk Island, an Australian territory. Today, Pitcairn Island has a minuscule population, and most speakers of what's now called Pitcairn Norfolk live on Norfolk Island. English is spoken on both islands, now more often than Pitcairn is. While there are a few texts published in Pitcairn and few efforts to preserve the language.
Don't know what the fuck is going on with the audio. I'm sorry, it only happens in the intro. Yeah, I don't know.
But the internet is ubiquitous, and Wikipedia was home to the Norfolk Wikipedia, created in 2005 and one of the many language editions of the encyclopedia. There, you can find portions of the text written in the endangered Norfolk dialect of Pitcairn. Probably. On March 19, 2025, the wiki was locked and all of its content was deleted by Wikimedia admins. Not unique. 22 different Wikipedias have been closed and or deleted to date. Of those, 20 are failed editions of Wikipedia in various different languages, and the other 2 are unique cases of projects which served functions other than that of a general encyclopedia. This video will analyze all of them. Information on them was sourced primarily from the MetaWiki discussion pages concerning their endings, but may be supplemented by snapshots from the Wayback Machine or other websites that preserve their content or hosted them after their shunting from Wikimedia. Closed means locked to editing, deleted means its content was wiped. Sorry for poor pronunciation, I tried my best. I started this video with a history of the Norfolk language because of the closure of the Norfolk Wikipedia. It exemplifies 3 common reasons behind the closures of a Wikipedia. Primarily, though, user Snowfire recommended the wiki for deletion in March 2024 because of its This was in fact the 3rd time someone had proposed the closure of the Norfolk Wikipedia. The rationale behind the other proposals were similar. An excerpt from Snowfire's successful proposal reads, "The project only ever attracted a single user who claimed to be fluent in Norfolk. He or she didn't add much content and has not edited since 2012. As a result, with neither fluent speakers nor written literature to sanity check the project, we have no idea whether this project is even in Norfolk at all, or would be useful to the very rare Norfolk speaker who would rather use a tiny Norfolk edition of Wikipedia rather than English Wikipedia. As it stands, the project is an active risk to the language. We may be unknowingly filling tagged examples of Norfolk to random machine learning bots with our own idiosyncratic idea of what the language should be, as the Pitcairn Norfolk Wikipedia is one of the major sources of text classified as being in that language on the internet. It's like the Scots Wikipedia incident, except if there were no Scots speakers capable of even noticing or knowing there was a problem. We have a responsibility to make sure that the encyclopedia is in correct Pitcairn, not in some unknown guess by non-speakers." The Scots Wikipedia incident, as Snowfire calls it, happened in August of 2020 and was likely the reason behind the closures and subsequent deletions of Wikipedia editions with few native speakers and fewer editors. It was user Renee Wright who opened a MetaWiki discussion about a massive issue with the Scots Gaelic Wikipedia. The controversy arose when Scots speakers on Reddit noticed a vast quantity of articles were written in what has been described by some newsletters as English in a Scottish accent. Specifically, between 20 and 30,000 articles were written by, admittedly probably well-meaning user Amaryllis Gardner, in real life an American teenager who did not know Scots Gaelic. This user had been editing for 7 years, and all of his contributions were either aided by faulty online translation tools or him using a dictionary to translate English sentences word for word into Scots while misspelling words and ignoring the differences in sentence structure and syntax. Despite all of this, he would manage to attain administrator status for that wiki because of its relatively few editors, and he would use his power to prevent actual Scots speakers from correcting his work. Amaryllis Gardner has even edited the Norfolk Wiki himself, casting further doubt on the quality of its content. The Scots Wiki has been had to be locked down while thousands of articles were deleted. Since there was still an editor base large enough to clean out most of the errors, Scots Wikipedia was not permanently closed. One of the main reasons that the situation was so infuriating for many people was because it contributed to false ideas about the Scots language and Scottish tradition. Luckily, there are still 70,000 native speakers. But you can imagine the harm that could be caused and misinformation that could be spread if there were almost no speakers and if nothing was ever published in Scots. The scandal influenced the closure and deletion of the Norfolk Wikipedia, but it's possible it was also responsible for the closure of other wikis. Nauruan is the endangered Micronesian language spoken on the island of Nauru in the Pacific Ocean. The wiki whose situation would be most similar to that of the Norfolk Wikipedia was that of Wikipedia Nauero. I butchered that, which had over 1,000 articles at the time of its closure, surprisingly. Though this indicates that the wiki was fairly active, none of its frequent contributors were Nauruan speakers, lending suspicion to the quality of the Nauruan Wikipedia's content. I should say native Nauruan speakers, not Nauruan speakers at all. Most of Nauru knew English at the time anyway, making it unlikely that anybody in Nauru would rather use a much smaller Nauruan Wikipedia than the English Wikipedia or even the simple English Wikipedia. The Nauruan Wikipedia was nominated for closure by now deleted user
Россиянин 123.
or Russian123. According to them, no native Nauruan speaker has ever contributed to this wiki. Even though there are people who've read Wikipedia from Nauru, seems like they don't want to contribute to Wikipedia and don't need Nauruan Wikipedia, because all of them use the English edition. It was also proven to be incorrect in some instances, so it was unlikely that the contributors were fluent in Nauruan as a non-native language. The name of the Nauruan language in Wikipedia was Nauruos, a word that doesn't exist anywhere else, instead of Ekakairu Nauero or Dorerin Nauero. The Nauruan Wikipedia closed in 2023, predating the end of the Norfolk Wikipedia. Discussion sections exist under proposals, and user Icadence would even point out the similarities to the Nauruan Wikipedia in a comment beneath the accepted proposal for the Norfolk Wikipedia's closure. Support. Similar case to the Nauruan Wikipedia, just with even less speakers of the language. Another example is the Greenlandic Wikipedia. According to Wikimedia Language Committee member M.F. Warburg, the Wikimedia Language Committee, or LangCom, is like the governing body for when you're closing or opening a new language edition of Wikipedia. There had only ever been few contributions from real Greenlandic editors, and the rest of the content was drivel from machine translators. While these AI tools are already faulty somewhat often, for less common languages like Greenlandic, which has roughly 60,000 speakers, they can be even more prone to error. Similar phrasing to that used in the Norfolk Wikipedia's closure proposal is used in M.F. Warburg's comment, particularly this sentence. Given the risk of harm to the Greenlandic language, the seemingly negative attitude towards the project in Greenland, and the absence of genuine user activity, the project should be closed. The Greenlandic Wiki was closed in September 2025, but in December it was deleted on advice from user Kenneth Ware, a German man studying the Greenlandic language who proposed the Wikipedia for closure in the first place. Luri is a language spoken in western Iran. Its three dialects are Northern, Central, and Southern. The Northern Luri Wikipedia was not written in any form of Luri. Most of it was gibberish, but some of it was in Kurdish. User Lads Group compared it directly to the Scots Wikipedia incident in his proposal. Several years ago, a couple of native speakers of Wikipedia Northern Luri contacted me and said that content of the URL is unreadable and incomprehensible to them. I independently asked several other native speakers, and they also confirmed that they cannot understand nor read the wiki. I reported it to LangCom, but it was dismissed on the grounds that a non-native professor in Canada approved this script. LangCom can shed light on this. So I sort of gave up, but after what happened with the Scotland wiki, I remembered again, and I'm afraid of another PR disaster. So I asked in my Twitter. The tweet reached 10,000 people. The responses I got are overwhelmingly saying, the script is unreadable. It's not understandable. Several people mentioned that it is using all sorts of invented words, like words for west and east. As I said, I have asked this independently from native speakers in person too, and they all said they can't understand it. Strangely, some Kurdish people who don't speak Luri at all said they can actually understand it pretty well and is using Kurdish script. It seems to be. Given that I don't actually think we have the capacity to fix the wiki, I think this wiki should be closed. Only user Mogweiler, who had made 73,000 edits to the Northern Lurie Wiki, more edits than every other frequent Lurie contributor combined, would try to defend the wiki. Their argument included citing replies to Ladd's Group's Twitter post insisting that the Wikipedia was readable. Mogeweiler was accused of having asked others to make these posts on their behalf. Most other users supported the closure, and the Northern Lurie Wikipedia was closed in January of 2021. All of its content has been deleted. Herero is a language spoken in Namibia and Botswana. The Herero Wikipedia struggled with articles written in other languages by non-Herero speakers. Particularly, some were written in Zulu. Unlike the rest of the wikis in this section, the Herero Wiki was closed all the way back in 2007. Also, unlike the other wikis we talked about, its content was not deleted, as some content was in Herero. This content was moved to the incubator being a space to test new language editions of Wikipedia before they go public. If they garner a community there, it is seen as proof that there are sufficient good faith editors to support a healthy project. The Norfolk Wikipedia was deleted because of the quality of the edits made. But even if there was proof that a single editor was a native speaker, it would likely have gotten shafted anyway. This is because of another common reason for Wikipedia's closure. Another excerpt from the Norfolk closure proposal effectively defines this problem. The Norfolk Wikipedia is not thriving. That itself is not a reason to close, as we have other low-activity Wikipedia editions. The problem is that it will never thrive. It is not a viable project. In 2008, there were only 400 speakers of Norfolk in the world. See English article, Pitcairn language. That number is surely lower now. Wikipedias for small languages are allowed, and so are Wikipedias without active user bases. But in select situations, Wikipedia projects can be closed if it is decided that their user growth is impossible, and that the people who might potentially use them probably will not. Sometimes, growth is deemed impossible due to declining use of the language, and sometimes it is impossible because of an issue with the language itself. Wikipedias are rarely closed for this reason alone, however, and it is usually mentioned as a footnote at the end of a proposal. Hiri Motu is a Creole based on the Papuan language of Motu, spoken near Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea's capital. Nearly all of its speakers speak it as a second language, and very few people can read or write it, making a text-based encyclopedia in their language rather useless. According to user Philip J., there were only 7 articles in total. While much of the content was in English, some Hirimotu content did exist, in the form of Bible-related articles created by netizen missionaries in attempts to spread the gospel. These consisted of quotations from the Bible, and nothing else. The Hirimotu Wikipedia was closed in 2007, its content preserved and moved to the incubator. Cree is spoken by the Cree Native Americans of Canada. The Cree Wikipedia was created in 2004, and it is notable in that it made almost 20 years before being nominated for closure in 2023. While only ever having had one active user, a Wikimedia administrator, who did not speak a lick of Cree. The Cree Wikipedia was not active and was plagued by vandals, but one problem was more unique, and also is the reason that I'm talking about it in the inviolability section. This proposal was made by user
Таежный лес.
or Taiga Forest. They argue another issue with the Cree Wikipedia was that because of how Cree is used by many different groups across much of Canada, there are dozens of dialects. All the articles of the project are written in different dialects and writing systems, which, together with a tiny number of articles, turns the encyclopedia into a set of mismatched pages. The project interface has not been translated. There are almost no pages with rules manuals. Later, they state, there is only a set of a few pages written in several writing variants, dialects, languages, at the same time without a clear structure, rules, templates. That sentence. Dialects of Cree are quite different from dialects of English. An English speaker from Miami can understand an English speaker from Manchester, who can understand an English speaker from Sydney. Cree, however, is not one language. It is something called a dialect continuum, where its dialects differ significantly enough that some cannot be understood by the most dissimilar dialects. This makes a unified Cree Wikipedia very tough to make, especially when nobody is trying to. It was closed in September 2025, then deleted in December. Akan is a language spoken in Ghana, which has 2 dialects, Twi and Fante. Twi and Fante are mutually intelligible when spoken, but not when written. The Akan Wikipedia had survived previous proposal on the basis of inactivity and spam. It would not survive its second one, and it would be closed in April 2023. A Twi Wikipedia already existed by then, and there was a Fante Wikipedia in the incubator. This rendered the Akan Wikipedia unnecessary and inviolable. Most of the Econ Wiki's articles were moved to the Twee Wikipedia, some were moved to the Fonte Wikipedia incubator, and the ones which did not need to be moved were deleted. The Fonte Wikipedia has since moved from the incubator into the main space. A Wikipedia cannot be closed solely for inactivity, but the most common reason for a closure is a side effect of inactivity. Vandalism, which includes everything, including advertising, evangelizing, and trolling. It happens frequently across Wikipedia. Most of the time, though, bad faith vandalism isn't a huge issue on larger Wikipedias. On the English Wikipedia, inaccuracies usually occur accidentally, because trolling is generally super obvious, and the over 250,000 active editors can undo it quickly. Inactive wikis, though, rely on Wikipedia admins who don't actually make contributions to active wikis in languages they don't know. They are able to reverse the most obvious spam or things written in the wrong language, but if vandalism is in the right language, it can be harder to spot when you don't read it. Those admins also rarely check those inactive wikis. Without a natural community, inactive wikis are attractive targets. The Norfolk Wikipedia is a great example once more. An abandoned wiki also tends to attract people looking for a free web host. See Norfolk Wiki article Zbigniew Simonowicz for an example. Basically written in normal English, sourced to a user-created microblogging site. Usually, these Wikipedias are created and are closed and moved to the incubator. Vandalism can be reversed, so it's possible for these wikis to eventually gain a user base. Closure is meant to be a short-term protection measure. Since this is super common and there are plenty of these wikis, I don't need to go in-depth into all of them. Instead, I'll give brief summaries of each one. Afar is spoken in Ethiopia. The Afar wiki was closed in 2008. It had 3 articles, and all of them were Bible verses not written in Afar. Choctaw is spoken by certain Native American groups in the southeastern U.S. The Choctaw Wikipedia was closed in 2007. It had to be semi-protected beforehand due to vandalism. Only 2 of its 3 articles were in Choctaw. Kanuri is spoken most around Niger, Nigeria, and Chad. It had no articles in Kanuri, it being the Kanuri Wikipedia, and it was targeted by World of Warcraft and RuneScape vandals, which were a common problem at the time. Kwanyama and Ndonga are the 2 dialects of Ovambo, spoken in Namibia and Angola. Kwanyama speakers understand Ndonga speakers and vice versa. Despite this, they both had separate Wikipedias. The Kwanyama Wikipedia was deleted in 2007. Interestingly, the Kwanyama Wikipedia was closed for inactivity, but there wasn't that much vandalism, which caused it to be a controversial decision. In 2010, the Ndonga Wikipedia was closed, though most of the discussion around this has been lost. Modernly, there is some support for opening an Ovambo Wikipedia to replace the 2 original wikis. Marshallese is spoken in the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean. The Marshallese wiki was closed in 2008 due to frequent anti-Semitic spam. Its only articles were translated prayers. The same user who proposed the Marshallese wiki's closure also proposed the Afar wiki's closure. Interestingly, this is not uncommon. Other users that have proposed multiple closures include Johannes Rohr and Philip J. Muskogee, sometimes called Creek, is a Native American language spoken in the southeastern U.S. The Muskogee wiki was closed in 2007, and none of its content was in Muskogee, just English. It was the target of WoW vandals like the Kanuri wiki. Yi is a Chinese variant spoken in Sichuan. The Sichuan Yi wiki was closed in 2007. It was being targeted by spam bots and had no Yi users. The last 5 wikis were all closed for different reasons. Each one is unique, and this is basically the miscellaneous chapter of the video, but I like to call it Constructed languages, or conlangs, are languages artificially created. This is done for reasons including art, experimenting with the nature of languages, and or idealistic attempts to create a global second language. Conlangs are allowed on Wikipedia, but fictional languages are not. Sometimes conlangs are created by authors as a world-building experience. Popular examples include Elvish from Lord of the Rings, Lapine from Watership Down, and Klingon from Star Trek. The Klingon Wikipedia, due to the unique circumstances surrounding its closure, only has a very brief closure page, which is largely irrelevant. Instead, the following information is from the MetaWiki article, History of the Klingon Wikipedia. The Klingon Wikipedia was founded in the 2000s, a time where new language Wikipedias of dubious necessity and quality were being created left and right. A user commenting on the now ruined wiki referred to this era when he described the wiki as the result of ego-driven wiki creations back in the day when any ISO-coded language could get a wiki as long as a number of goofballs backed it. The Klingon Wikipedia was divisive from the moment of its inception. Some users felt that no conlang was deserving of a wiki, and others were
Wikipedia's no fun police.
felt having a Star Trek language wiki detracted from the scholarliness of the site. I said scholarliness right there. That's a tongue twister word. Jeez. Long before the wiki was closed, it was already exiled by the rest of Wikipedia, where any links to the Klingon Wikipedia had been removed from most other Wikipedias. This, and also the fact that nobody actually speaks Klingon, led to the Klingon Wiki, despite its relative infamy in Wikipedia's subculture, never having had a sizable community of contributors. The Klingon Wiki was closed in August of 2005 by none other than Jimmy Donal Wales, the co-founder of Wikipedia and fandom, who never explained why he closed it personally, leaving it quite mysterious. The Klingon Wiki has since been entirely deleted, but info on this is much harder to find, so when this happened is unknown. It also could be that Jimmy did it, he deleted it as soon as he closed it. In fact, not only has its content been wiped, but the URL doesn't even work anymore. Usually when a wiki is closed or deleted, the main page stays up with the notice of its closure, so Wales must have really had it out for the Klingon Wiki because he smited it. Despite this, the Klingon Wikipedia lives on fandom, at the time known as Wikia, which it had been moved to shortly before its closure on Wikipedia because of the mounting pressure to get rid of it. Siberian is not a language spoken in Siberia. Siberian is not spoken anywhere else. Siberian is not even a conlang. There are many individual Siberian languages, but Siberian does not exist at all. It is 100% fictitious. How the Siberian Wikipedia ever came to be on October 1st, 2006 is beyond my understanding. In my opinion, an admin allowing this Wikipedia's creation may be the greatest failure of accuracy in the history of the site, because any precursory internet search for Siberian language quite clearly comes up with no results. The Siberian Wikipedia was written mostly in different Cyrillic languages. Interestingly, this was not the primary reason for the wiki's closure and deletion. It was closed because it was being used by Ukrainian nationalists to spread their political views. It was also reused by Russian nationalists and other varieties of trolls who were outnumbered there but contributed to the spam nonetheless. This content, aside from being partial and therefore against Wikipedia's rules that all content must at least attempt to be unbiased, was also, sometimes, racist or otherwise obscene or offensive. It was nominated for deletion by Russian user Paul Pogonishev. This is his full proposal. I have never heard of Siberian language, but I was indifferent to this Wikipedia in the beginning, even though I thought the entire section was original research, using not really existent language. However, it has become a home for trolls and keeps bashing everything Russian, Moskali in their terms. From nationalist point of view, teaming up with Ukrainian nationalists, of course, Ukrainian, unlike Siberian, is a language in its own right. There is no respect for neutral point of view on this Wikipedia. I can see the following reasons to close it. It uses specifically crafted or virtually unknown language named Siberian. It has no respect for neutral point of view, and keeps consistent anti-Russian position. It can never serve to promote and preserve knowledge and create a true encyclopedia because of its strong bias and no real user base. It demands insertion of its inner wikis into other language sections, and given the above, I consider it such inner wikis as feeding the trolls. It is not serious on common topics. For instance, see translation of Hamlet with obscene words at the very end. All in all, I think this section lowers prestige of Wikipedia as a whole. Some users argued that the Siberian Wiki's closure proposal was spearheaded by Russian nationalists who wanted to erase Siberian language and culture, but this was rebutted by the fact that Siberian is not a real language, and the user base is Ukrainian, not Siberian. The ensuing keyboard war was the longest discussion yet, with there being 194 users in support of closure and 108 against it. These numbers are likely inflated, however. This vote seems significantly compromised by the ongoing sock puppetry, and it is hereby requested that every user who casts a vote here authorizes himself at the wiki where he works most. After that, please mark your vote here as authorized. Wikipedia account should be created before the date of this proposal, that is, before November 3rd, 2006. I suggest all votes to be authorized within 7 days, that is, midnight GMT, November 24th, 2006, to be stricken out. This sock puppetry was mostly carried out by users of the Siberian Wikipedia. In particular, user Yaroslav Zolotaryov, who went to great lengths to invalidate votes in support of closure. He was also known for leaving incendiary remarks across the discussion. And it was without any consensus, simply under Muscovite flash bomb, and because of impossibility for making decision without English sources about this, and 7 Wikipedias still have articles about Siberian. User Boleslav1 responded with, "It had full consensus from the admin of the wiki, and please stop insulting others with terms like flash mob and such. It only weakens your case, if you turn to insults instead of logical arguments." Yaroslav persisted, "Enemies of SibWiki are nationalists and xenophobes." Siberia does not have a singular flag or definite territory, which he did claim. Obviously, the Siberian wiki was closed in September 2007, and deletion followed in October. Like Klingon, its URL is no longer functional. Moldovan is the official language of the Republic of Moldova, and it is, for all practical purposes, identical to Romanian. If you tried to create a Wikimedia project in the Moldovan language now, it would almost certainly not get created. Wikimedia's policies have changed since the times of the Moldovan Wikipedia, and require that the language must be sufficiently unique that it could not coexist in a more general wiki. In most cases, this excludes regional dialects and different written forms of the same language. A Moldovan court even ruled that there are two terms for the same language. Having separate Romanian and Moldovan wikis would be akin to having an American English Wikipedia and a British English Wikipedia. The Wikipedia was closed in 2006 in a discussion that over 100 users participated in. It was clear that the topic was politically charged and even led to harassment of some users, particularly user NodeUE, who has been opposed to the closure of nearly every Wikipedia we've talked about so far, though usually wordlessly. The first deletion proposal, on the basis of the precedent set by the Siberian Wikipedia's closure, failed. User Telekom Nas Berven nominated the Moldovan Wikipedia for the second time. Their proposal was predicated on the above information about the Moldovan Wikipedia. There was significant pushback again. The main argument from the supporters of the Moldovan Wikipedia was that Moldovan was still a recognized language in Transnistria. What am I doing? Transnistria, officially the Pridnestrovian Moldavian Republic, is a de facto independent republic between the Dniester River and the Moldovan-Ukrainian border. It is internationally recognized as a part of the Republic of Moldova, not recognized as independent by any UN member state, and not part of the UN. It is effectively a Russian puppet state. One IP user left the following comment. Although some may affirm that the so-called Moldovan language based on Cyrillic is still used in the Transnistria region and backed by so-called official institutions from so-called Transnistria Republic, this is false because this country does not exist de jure, nor is it recognized by international law. But one of the voters in the original deletion proposal had this to say. Cyrillic script is still used in Transnistria. Look at the official website of the Transnistrian Radio, a newspaper in Cyrillic script. Of course, Cyrillic script is used by thousands, not millions, but it is still used. Cyrillic script and Latin script are both used to write in Romanian, but Latin is more common, and Romanian Wikipedia is written in Latin, while the Moldovan Wikipedia was in Cyrillic. Also, that rule that I cited earlier about two languages needing to be sufficiently distinct, it also said that they can't just be two of this. They can't said that you can't have the same language twice in different writing systems. Others argue that the Wikipedia should be preserved solely because they wanted to preserve it as a symbol of Moldovan culture, and wanted it to be a wiki for Moldovans. This attitude was often motivated by the feeling that Moldovan culture was being replaced by Romanian culture. I believe that if existing people who use a certain language/script, then they should get the opportunity to write and read in their language/script. We, Moldavians, literally getting destroyed like the nation. Our historical symbols were taken from us, then the right to learn our history in the schools, then our Moldavian language. Right now, they're saying that we don't even exist. If you want to find out the truth, then visit Moldova and ask simple people who they are and how they call their language. Please, sorry my poor English, please, peace. These factors turned the ensuing discussion into a sort of culture war, which likely contributed to the comparatively high number of participants in the discussion. And in the end, 42 people vouched for the Moldovan Wiki's complete deletion and 19 people resisted. The Wikipedia was closed on November 2006 and deleted on November 23rd. Not 2020, 23rd. 2006. mo.wikipedia.org, the former URL of the Moldovan Wiki, now redirects to ro.wikipedia.org, which is the Romanian wiki. Wikipedia 10 is not a language edition of Wikipedia like every other wiki before it. As I said, there are two that aren't that I'm going to talk about in this video. Wikipedia 10 was created for the purpose of celebrating Wikipedia's 10th anniversary on January 15th, 2011. Wikipedia 10 was like a collection of forums where you could discuss Wikipedia, find events to go to, and celebrate its 10th anniversary, or even organize your own event. The Wikipedia obviously succeeded in its purpose, because it proudly proclaims that there were 470 events across 113 countries. But 10 was destined to be temporary. In October of 2011, user EBE123 proposed its closure. I am requesting the closure of 10.wikipedia since 2011 is over soon. The Wikipedia has no big purpose now, and all of the events are done. On a non-policy note, the wiki is inactive, but that is no reason to support closure. His proposal was supported mostly by the community who said that the Wikipedia should be closed but not deleted. User Stephen Walling, who created 10, even supported the proposal. The exact date of closure is unknown, but it was probably closed in December 2011 or early 2012. September 11th, 2001 was obviously a pertinent date in American history, and one that drastically changed American culture too. So it should be no surprise that it also changed Wikipedia forever. When it first happened, editors obviously flocked to create articles about it, some of which were of dubious quality. Some of these pages were articles about specific victims of the attack, sometimes even ones created by people who knew them. As tragic as this is, though, some of these articles didn't meet Wikipedia guidelines, and they were written in clearly partial ways that made it obvious that the writer showed sympathy for the victim, which would be fine in absolutely any other setting than an encyclopedia. These memorial articles, clearly only created as a tribute to the victims, rarely met notability or quality guidelines. Today, this has likely contributed to the existence of the no articles intended to be memorials rule. But in 2001, this rule didn't exist yet, so people came up with other ideas for what to do with all of the content, which carried too much emotional weight for the vast majority of Wikipedia users to support their absolute deletion, but was also not appropriate for the website. These proposals included things like Wikimorial, a Wikimedia project where people could create memorials for dead loved ones, and would have essentially functioned like Find a Grave. The September 11th Wiki, however, was what emerged. The September 11th Wiki was meant to be a place where people could create articles about each and every victim of the September 11th attacks. The page with the original closure discussion from 2006 no longer exists, so I am using an archive of the page on the MetaWiki as a source. Unfortunately, the original closure proposals have been lost, but we still have the ensuing discussion. The 104 arguments in support and 6 arguments against closure. That is an overwhelming vote. Whilst there is considerable emotion attached to this event for many people, it is one of many thousands of terrorist attacks to have happened in the last decade, and the place for this sort of info is not on this page. I think that the information should clearly be deleted, and I think that proposals to move the information, see below, are the best. How many votes/discussions on this do we need to have? Every one of them is strongly for getting this out of the Wikimedia project space. As before, I'm fine with delete or save or wherever someone else wants it. It seems the content has already been salvaged, so delete. I'm American, but acting as if we're the only ones to suffer a loss is simply insulting to those that suffered from the tsunami, etc. The tsunami, likely referred to above, was the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. The comment was made in 2006. The deadliest tsunami in history, killing nearly 230,000 across India, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Myanmar, Burma. Myanmar, Burma being like 2 words for the same place. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. Most users believed it should not be deleted, just logged to editing, and in 2006 it would be closed. 2 years later, in 2008, the September 11th Wiki would be deleted. Again, the page discussing this has been lost, but this time there is no archive. Thank you for watching. Apologies for generally low production quality and the fact that I talk so fast. That's probably going to be more of a headache to me when I'm editing this, or when I was editing this, than it is for you watching, but sorry nonetheless. This is the first video I put considerable effort into, and I hope to make similar content in the future. If you enjoyed it, you might enjoy the other Wikipedia-related content I hope to make. So if you want to support that, then please subscribe. This has been Thank You Spandex.